Night fell over medieval Europe. Somewhere, a metal ring studded with cruel spikes sat waiting. In the shadowed light of torches, executioners would fit it over a prisoner's brow and twist. Flesh tore, blood slicked the steel. The victim's scream, muffled by iron, rose like a prayer for mercy. Devices like these were not the stuff of myth. The so-called Iron Crown was a real instrument, designed to be tightened around the head until agony or death followed. In such a world, a single lie could lead to unspeakable suffering. It was the spring of 1475 when the small alpine town of Trent experienced a tragedy that would echo through centuries. A 2-year-old boy named Simon disappeared during the days leading up to Easter. The missing child stirred deep anxieties in a Christian community already primed by anti-Jewish sermons. Bernardinus of Feltre, a Franciscan preacher, had warned of Jews using Christian blood in rituals, inflaming the townsfolk. Trent was a place where debts to Jewish moneylenders bred resentment and where local nobles saw the Jewish community as useful scapegoats for political or financial grievances. When the boy's body was found in a canal, suspicion quickly turned to the town's small group of Jewish families. Authorities arrested every Jew in Trent, men, women, and even children. Their houses were searched, and those imprisoned were subjected to days and nights of physical torment. A baptized Jew named Johann of Feltre, imprisoned for theft, seized the moment to secure his freedom by accusing his former coreligionists. He told the magistrates that Jews had killed Simon to harvest Christian blood. Under torture, he repeated what inquisitors wanted to hear, and his word became the basis for a case that engulfed the entire community. In the damp cells beneath the bishop's palace, Jewish men were stretched on racks and twisted with ropes. Iron implements crushed their fingers, heated tongs burned flesh. Some prisoners resisted, insisting on their innocence, but the violence broke many. After weeks of agony, several repeated verbatim confessions dictated by their tormentors. Trials were little more than performances to confirm what torturers had already extracted. Bishop Johannes Hinderbach oversaw the proceedings. He ignored appeals from Duke Sigmund and others to halt the torture and pushed for convictions. The accused were not allowed to face their accuser. Even the women, locked away separately, were tortured until they denounced their husbands and brothers. When a papal envoy, Bishop Battista de Giudici, investigated, he concluded that Christians had framed the Jews. His report was suppressed, and the trials continued. The sentences were as brutal as the interrogations. 8 of the wealthiest Jewish men were condemned to death. Some burned alive at the stake, others beheaded. Executioners led them to the scaffold, shackled and bruised. In the flicker of firelight, the smoke of burning flesh mingled with incense. Screams pierced the night as flames climbed up bound bodies. For those who faced the sword, heads rolled onto blood-soaked boards. These punishments were intended as public spectacles and as deterrents. Afterward, the women were coerced into baptism and allowed to live, while one elderly Jew named Israel, who had temporarily converted, was tortured for months before being executed. Innocent people suffered and died not because of what they had done, but because of what they were accused of. To understand the depths of cruelty that medieval authorities could inflict, one need only look beyond Trent. In 1514, Hungarian rebel leader György Dosa was captured after leading a peasant uprising. His captors devised a punishment both symbolic and excruciating. Dosa was forced to sit on a smoldering iron throne, clench a heated scepter, and wear a red-hot iron crown that seared his flesh. Executioners then ripped off pieces of his skin with glowing pliers and compelled starving comrades to eat the burnt flesh. Such spectacles mocked the condemned's aspirations and made their suffering a lesson for all. The Iron Crown itself, whether heated red-hot as with Dosa or designed with inward spikes as shown in engravings, was meant to turn the very symbol of authority into an instrument of agony. This device serves as a chilling emblem of an age when power was enforced through calculated pain. Back in Trent, the consequences of Simon's death stretched far beyond the scaffold. Bishop Hinderbach refused to abandon the narrative of ritual murder. He canonized the boy locally and encouraged veneration of Simon as a martyr, cementing anti-Jewish suspicion in the region. The papal investigation that declared the Jews innocent was buried, and the few survivors of Trent's Jewish community were banished. Johann of Feltre, whose accusation under torture had set the tragedy in motion, slipped back into obscurity. History records no iron crown placed upon his brow, yet there is a sense of poetic justice in remembering that his false testimony now stands condemned by historians. The real crown he earned was a crown of infamy, a legacy of lies that damned innocents to death. What punishment could ever fit such a crime? Is it enough to know that centuries later, we recognize the injustice and mourn the lives taken? The story of Simon of Trent's Accuser reminds us how easily fear and prejudice can turn neighbors into executioners. It shows that when the machinery of justice is fueled by hatred, torture devices like the Iron Crown become tools of statecraft. How would you have reacted in such a world? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more stories that delve into history's darkest corners. And join us next time when we explore another tale of cruelty and endurance.